So the last week we entered the text, the very first mantra. Then Atha Ashvalayana, who is the student of the text, approaches the Venerable Lord Brahma. See, the backdrop is so very clear. There's always a student goes up to the teacher, in the sense that it is a conversation, it's a dialogue. He's asking questions. Approached the Venerable Lord, O blessed Lord, teach me the supreme knowledge of Brahman, Brahma Vidya, which is always sought by the wise, a profound secret by which the wise go on discarding all sins, reach the supreme being, that which is greater than the great. So the word Atha, as I mentioned, talks about the necessary preparation required by any spiritual seeker, any spiritual aspirant. And we mentioned of the qualities that make a student an adhikari to receive the Brahma Vidya. The qualities that make one worthy of receiving this knowledge. It's not that you would have none or you would have everything 100%. To the extent you have these qualities, to that extent you are ready to receive the Brahma Vidya from the gurus, from the text. To that extent, you are not attuned to receive this knowledge. So a quick mention of the qualities we mentioned last week. The first quality is Viveka. Viveka is the intellectual capacity. It is the strength of your intellect, a capacity with which you can very clearly discriminate, because one of the job of the intellect is to discriminate between two things. The job of the intellect is to discriminate. But here, the buddhi that we have, what kind of discrimination makes the student an adhikari? The real discrimination which is required to make you worthy of receiving Brahma Vidya is the discrimination between Nitya and Anitya. As they say, the real quality of the intellect is to discriminate between Nitya and Anitya. Nitya is eternal, Anitya is ephemeral. So all through our life, every experience, we go through the ephemeral. It could be a celebration, it could be anything that you're going through in life. It passes. Nothing stays. The best of times, or it could be the worst of times. If only you can look at it from a distance. If only you can observe it from the balcony of truth. As they poetically say, just stand apart and watch it. You will just see it passing by. So you could be very you would be very detached. You would not go through the unnecessary fluctuations. So the intellect has the capacity to understand that which is ephemeral, that which is not ephemeral. So the real definition of intellect is known as Nitya, Anitya, Viveka, Vicharam. Real job of the intellect is this, Nitya Anitya Viveka Vicharam. The discrimination, contemplation on the discrimination between the real and unreal. I said it's very demanding. An Upanishad class is very demanding. So you better come prepared. If you're not prepared, it will take some time. So the real job of the intellect is to discriminate. And what is the real quality? Nitya, Anitya, Viveka Vicharam. Vicharam means contemplation. Viveka is discrimination. And so what is you're contemplating on the discrimination made by the intellect between real and unreal. Nitya, Anitya, Viveka, Vicharam. So your intellect is consumed by what? This contemplation between the real and unreal. This is the only job the intellect should do. Now we are doing everything else but this. I'm very sorry. I am very busy. I don't have time for this. When I am retired, I will do it. Other day, into the institute, a young lady, when I say young, she would be in her mid-40s, late 30s must be. She walked in with her kid and said, I've come to know that you're doing some summer camp here. I would like to enroll my kids. Oh yes, please, you're most welcome. We have not yet started operations and we already have guests. I said, most welcome. I was very excited. So I was the only fellow there. Apart from the caretakers, nobody was there. Now, very soon she enrolled her kids. But the rest of the half an hour or so dialogue was to convince her to come for the classes. And she says, I think it's too early for me. I will come when after 50, 55, I'll come for the Gita classes. But I want Bhagavad Gita for my children. I couldn't understand the logic. She finds a very much need for her kids, but she doesn't find a need for herself. Very smart. Very smart. It's not that she's dumb. Very brilliant, successful. She sees a relevance for the kids that will help them in their life, but she doesn't find relevance in her life. So I was just trying to tell her, you may be successful, you may find everything going well in your life, but don't you realize that this will give you an edge? It will give you a better advantage in dealing with what life ever is challenging you, wherever it is challenging you. So people don't have time for this vicharam. Blessed if you have this disposition to do this vicharam. So to that extent, what the intellect also would have is vairagyam, the second quality. So viveka is the discrimination, nitya, anitya, viveka, vicharam. If you want to contemplate on something between the real and unreal, that which is ephemeral and eternal, you must have the second quality, which is vairagyam. Vairagya, I don't know whether you noticed it, and it was not captured in the takeaways also. And I inserted that phrase when I edited the takeaways. The statement was, Vairagya is a capacity where you go through the various experiences of life. You also have the capacity to enjoy them. You also have the capacity to drop them. Vasanta Paroma. Did you get that definition of Vairagya?
Yes, Guruji. Capacity to understand an activity, to adopt or to drop it, to seek the higher.
That was last week definition, no?
Yes, but I thought even now you said capacity to adopt and drop.
You know, while we are experiencing, at the same time being dispassionate about that particular, whatever the action we are performing is vairagya.
One little addition, I said, a capacity to experience anything in life and to enjoy it as well. It's not that you are dead to the world. Your senses are very alive. Means you're a very normal person. It's not that you have no interest in it. Then what vairagya? Ma, you take me to a club or a pub, and you put me there in a pub, I will sit very cold to all that's happening, all the sound and all that thing. Can you say I have got vairagya for that? In fact, I found myself other day, 2 days ago, the day before yesterday night, I found myself attending a Sangeet ceremony of my nephew. And I was a transporter to my mother and daughter. So I was there. It was a very close family member. It was an obligation. And I was there. It was a closed invite. Usually it's a closed, around 100 odd people were there. Typically a marriage, you'll have 500,000 people. It was a very close thing. I tell you, I was little doubtful I could have the shrunu after that. Whether my receptacles, my earbuds all are intact after that, I didn't know. There was so much of sound and so much of light and sound. I think all light and sound I saw that evening only. So much of light and sound and drama and dance and fun, everybody were having. And to be frank with you, I was very cold within. Outside, I was wishing them. I was cold within and silently watching all the drama going on. So you cannot say I have got vairagya for that. I think my brother was saying, when are you going to perform on stage? Yes, I will perform on stage. I'll say Om Sahana Bhavatu. Everybody will run away from here. That will be my performance. Do you want that? I asked him jokingly, So the point I'm making when you say vairagya, what is essential is you must have the capacity to enjoy it as well. You must know what it is. Like you have the knowledge of what the world has to offer. You know its joys, what it offers to you. And then you say, I am not interested in it. That is real vairagya. When you have no knowledge of it, you have not experienced it, nor do you have interest in it, how can you claim to have a vairagya for it? That's the additional point I'm elaborating on vairagya. So you must have the knowledge of it. In fact, to go a little deeper, I don't know, any one of you remember when we read this concept a while ago, we did mention this vairagya. To measure vairagya, there are a few points. You must have, I know Vasanta Ma will know, Vasanta Senior. So we'll have to come about with some terminology. So what are the things, Vasanta Ma, to test in the same line of thought, to know whether you have vairagya, what are the things you should have? Do you recall?
You should have the you should be in that surroundings and then be able to drop it.
Yes, you should be in the surroundings.
You should have all the qualities, steadfastness and all that commitment.
No. That are all not required for vairagya. Just coming back to the point, in order to test your level of vairagya, what are the things that are required? Okay, just take a note of it. The first thing is you must have a desire for the object. Isn't it? You must have a desire for that particular object or experience. Second, the object must be available for you to experience. First, that there must be desire for the object. Second, the object must be available. The third, you must have the capacity to procure the object. And the fourth, you must have the capacity to enjoy the object as well. Kashish, repeat all the 4, Kashish.
Yes, Guruji. In order to test your level of vairagya, you must have a desire for an object, have that object available to experience, have the capacity to procure that object, and have the capacity to enjoy that object.
Right, perfect. So when all these 3 are there, all the 4, you have a desire, the object is available, you have the capacity to procure it, capacity to enjoy it. Having got all these conditions, then you understand the hidden value, what that enjoyment or that experience can offer. Now tell, for example, a desire to travel the world. You have that desire, you have an interest to travel the world. Point 1, okay. Second, you have, okay, let's ask US to explain this with the example of traveling. I know there is that smile in her, and she understands and I understand. That's all I want.
I knew you would catch me.
Oh, you knew that, is it? Okay. For a moment, I actually, it slipped my mind, you know. You want to brief the group
Actually,
also
I
why?
have the desire for that object.
I know that I know.
It
You
was
are on
for-
very high state.
Be in the marketplace and be.
I know your level, but can you please explain that level to us? A very high level that we know.
Beyond description. Anyway, I'll try.
Uh,
What's the question?
what's the question? Explain the 4 questions or 4 elements which convey the real quality of vairagya. Example of a desire to travel. Imagine yourself in that, just as an example, and explain that, please.
Well, the desire is already there in you to go through that experience.
All right, point 1. Second,
The object available to experience, you should have the capacity to make it happen.
Object available is there is no COVID restrictions anymore. You can travel. That is what object available. Europe is there, but then object you can't travel, no? 6 months before Europe existed, 6 months before.
You're breaking, Guruji. I can't. There's some breaking.
Is it the same with others as well? Okay, I think it's quite stable for others. Maybe you may want to just check your connection, huh? Okay. Now, the second point is the object must be available. Objects available in the context
the
is
flights are all open.
There are no more travel restrictions. You can choose where you want to go. The
Yeah.
object is available. So 1 year ago, the desire was there.
Maybe it might have been there, but it was not.
Maybe, no, don't tell maybe and all. I'm going, just cooperate. No, why are you making it so difficult for everybody? The desire for travel was there, is there also. Don't tell me it's not there. Okay, I'll not go in there. I'll just talk about the example. The desire to travel, the object is available. Third, you have the capacity to enjoy. Was that the third criteria?
Yes, capacity.
You have the capacity to enjoy, capacity to procurement, capacity to enjoy. And the fourth is?
That is the capacity to enjoy.
Then what is the third?
Capacity to procure the object.
Okay, which is to,
yeah.
Okay, one and the same thing, which you have the capacity, you can afford it.
Afford it, yeah.
For example, when you go and they say, these are these travel options, you want to go with your family on a holiday, you have different categories of travel. That this is a, let's say, platinum class, and then there's a gold class, and then there's a silver class. Some names they'll give. This package costs this much, this package this much, and this much. When you put the whole costings together, you say, I don't think I'm in a position to go for that. But you say, I'll go with the middle one. Then what is your attitude? You really want to enjoy the platinum class. But since you don't have the capacity to procure and enjoy the platinum class, you will say, it's okay, big deal. If there is no balcony, there's no bigger window, it'll only be a smaller window, big deal. No problem. The same thing. You will start justifying, isn't it? Where that is not real vairagya. You still have a desire. You have not dropped it. Now, taking all these considerations into account, you have the desire, the object is available, you have the capacity to procure and enjoy. Now, where does vairagya come in?
After the experience, we feel that
After the
it's
experience,
not
is chapter
really
closed. After the experience, chapter closed. What are you talking
during
after
the experience.
Even during experience, chapter closed. Discussion doesn't arise. All these questions are being considered before the experience, not while or after.
Oh, but without
Welcome back.
experiencing it.
Welcome back to the satsangs. Ask, can anybody ask her where was she the last 1 month? Holidaying in Dubai and London. No, I already, I didn't want to tell that, ma. Very sorry, ma. Forgive me, please. Huh?
No, Guruji, how do you drop it without experiencing it? I thought I experienced it. Now I know I have to drop it. I don't want to go to London anymore. So I have dropped it.
No, ma. See, it's not that you haven't had an experience of travel before. You go with your past experience. It's not that you have not seen the world. It's not that you come from an aboriginal village. No, you have seen the world, you have traveled, you go by your past experiences. So on one side, you have the desire to travel and experience the world. On the other side, you have an opportunity to seek the truth, to embark on a spiritual journey, to use that time and energy and resources for your own spiritual advancement.
But
So
Guruji,
you are at a fork. You're at a fork where you have to make a choice.
But Guruji, earlier you said when you were in the wedding, you were in the wedding and detached from.
Forget that.
Okay.
Can you please
I
forget
thought
that?
that was the experience.
Ma, once you're established in vairagya,
Okay.
then doesn't matter where you are. Here we are trying to understand how to cultivate vairagya, how to check your level of vairagya.
Yeah.
One who is established doesn't matter where he is. His mind is already established in self. Our minds are not in the self, no? We are trying to find out how do you test how much vairagya have you got? Have you got how much vairagya? As I said, example, I can't tell I have got vairagya for alcohol. Has no meaning. I'm detached from alcohol. Has no meaning. I will be like in the marketplace. Put me in the pub. I will be out in it and out of it. Has no meaning. That is a false tool to measure your vairagya. And also, I would be very genuine to say this. I am not enchanted by money. It doesn't enchant me. You can lure me to give me a job, an offer of a top post, and you lure me. I will not fall for it. So I can't say I have a vairagya for that. I have no interest in it relatively. I've never sought a job in the last 30 years of my life. If at all, I've recommended jobs to people. I am not interested in a job. So can I say I've got vairagya to earn money? I have no interest to travel the world. I can't say I've got vairagya. I have no vasana at all. So I can't test myself in areas where you have no vasana. That is not the way. In fact, why I'm struggling to explain to this is because you will not find anybody teaching you this way. I'll explain it in one statement, in one concept and move on. As you said, vairagya is to be detached, is when you're in it and you're out of it. That is easy to say, but to go to this level of analysis to help you understand is not easy. I'll again rebuild the thought, Oshama. We said Viveka is the capacity to discriminate and contemplate between the real and unreal. Vivek, Nitya, Anitya, Viveka Vicharam. You got that? So your intellect is contemplating between the real and unreal. Now, when would you be able to contemplate? I said only when you have vairagya. Then we said, how do you test your level of vairagya? We brought out these 4 questions. Now, considering going back to the same example of traveling the world and seeing and experiencing the world, I have this offer to travel and see the world, which is, I'm putting it in a category of ephemeral. And then I have the chance of pursuing the eternal truths. Okay, are you all with me? Can I have a raise of hands? You all with me or following what I'm saying? Good. So there is, on one side, you have this chance of experiencing the world, traveling the world. I'm not saying it is not worth it, please. No, I'm just taking an example. One side you have this, another side you have this opportunity of seeking the higher. Now, when your intellect is presented with this dilemma, can you drop this ephemeral activity, the lower, and embark on seeking the higher? That capacity to drop an activity and seek the higher is known as vairagya. And measure that vairagya in areas where you have a vasana, you have a desire. Don't talk of things where you have no interest in. That is of no relevance to your spiritual growth. So can you drop something which you are in? Okay, just giving an example, another example. I remember this, one of my first students. Suprema, I'll come to you. I know you wanted to clarify something. I will come to you. Just an example. We talk about giving or parting with something. Whenever you do give or part, you can part with something which has no value for you, which has no relevance for you in your life, or you can part for something which is very dear to you, isn't it? Now, where is the real giving? Isn't real giving in something which is very dear to you or which you have no value for you? The real giving is in something which is very dear to you, isn't it? Similarly, the real vairagya is the lack of interest you show in something which you're interested in, but yet you're interested in the very higher as well. Can I take time out from something which I can do away with and seek the higher and create that opportunity now? I can choose to travel the world next 3 months, or I can say no to it now and pursue the higher. That capacity to drop something is vairagya. And you're doing not by force, but by your own choice. I choose to seek the truth, not after retirement, now. And this doesn't come to everybody. And if you have that innate capacity to drop something, you should clinch it. You should clinch it. It's not easy to convey this concept, but at least you get an insight into what we're talking about. Here we are trying to, either you're seeking the ephemeral or seeking the eternal. It's all that we're talking about here. Whether you want, even in your work, you have many possibilities to earn money in unethical ways, to do things. You can abuse your position. Is it not? But you can always say, no, I wouldn't do that. I want to uphold my values and principles. I may not be scrutinized. There's nobody above me. I am the top. But still, you wouldn't want to abuse that position for your own purposes. You still uphold, you choose the right path from the wrong. All right, I think a couple of them wanted to clarify. Okay, let me ask Supriyama. Yes, please. You want to say something? It would be good if we can. It would be good if we can see you. Are you in a position to put on your? Yes, ma'am.
Guruji,
Yeah.
pranam.
Namaskar.
No, I just raised a hand in response to your when you said to raise the hand. But now, since I have got an opportunity to speak, I would like to say that it is very enlightening and very inspiring. What you said, that if we have an option available which is dear to our heart, and if the possibility is there to enjoy it, still we have that discretion to develop that discretion, whether it is a eternal joy or it is a momentary joy. That discretion one should have. It is so inspiring, and I think it has raised my vibration for one step above. Yeah, thank you so much.
Supriyama, so you are blessed. You're walking into a session like this, and if it resonates with you, it just tells how ready you are for this knowledge. That's all it means.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Apara Garu, did you raise hand or Vasantama raise hand? Or you all acknowledged?
I raised, but then I'm clear as well. No more question.
Okay, perfect. So, Viveka followed by Vairagya. And then we said the third was the sixfold qualities of wealth, Shad Sampatti. Quick mention of that, I wouldn't go into the detail. Calmness, self-control, self-withdrawal, endurance, or we call it Shraddha, faith and tranquility, the sixfold qualities of wealth. And then the fourth quality is known as Mumukshatva. Mumukshatva, I think this above all, the real quality of a spiritual seeker is the desire to seek the truth, the burning desire to realize the self. It is kind of a sensation, a burning restlessness, a suffocation. And an example is given, but don't take it literally and practice it because you'll make a mockery of it. A classic example given, can anybody think of? Shantima, can you think of an example where you are restless in the best moments of your life? Everything is going well, so well, but you feel restless. It's like you're sitting on a hot plate.
Hariom Guruji. So you're asking example, is it? Example of experience?
Example of in the Shastras, there was an example, there is a mention of a great personality who became the great personality thereafter, which exhibited that restlessness in the best moments of your life. Most of us feel restless and uncomfortable when things are not going well, isn't it? Let's say you come to know that your company is shrinking, is cutting down its workforce, and it's sacking the workforce, X percentage of people. Suddenly there could be a thought of concern. You're restless. Would I be a part of that? If that happens, what would happen? I got so many commitments. I hope I don't get into a situation where I lose my job. Only in moments of distress or despair you feel restless. Not in moments of joy and ecstasy, don't you? Do you? So, example of a Shastra talk of it.
No, I couldn't recall.
All right, no problem. Think along, Ma. Lakshmi Ma.
King Janaka and Buddha, Gautama Buddha.
I would go with the second. I was referring to the context of Prince Siddhartha.
Yeah, Buddha. And King Janaka as well, right?
See, King Janaka, we always highlight him as someone who's already established in wisdom. But the context of that burning sensation, the burning desire, the suffocation to experience when everything is going well, is best captured. What was Buddha before he became Buddha? He was a prince, Prince Siddhartha. And Prince Siddhartha, he was leading a princely life. Now, what to tell about a princely life? Everything was going well. He was married. He had a child. He had everything going well. He had everything in his life. I don't know whether he had a kid or not, but forget that part of the story. I think he had a family. With everything going well, he felt suffocated in that. And he wanted to pursue the truth. Do not copy lifestyles of masters. It's a caution in the air. Do not do what great masters do. Follow what they teach. So don't, because Siddhartha did that, I also walk out of my house. You may have many reasons to walk out, but this is not the reason, but I guarantee. Every day, how long, how many times to keep fighting with this fellow? Now I got a chance to walk out. You'll walk out. That may be the reason, but not that you have mumukshatva to reach the truth. There are different reasons people walk out. He didn't walk out because there was something wrong in his life. He wanted to seek. There were things he wanted to clarify. So one is that is like sitting on a hard plate. Second example, perhaps, is the great Ramakrishna Paramahamsa talks of you push a person's head under a level or under the sheet of the water, and you hold him there, and what that person wants, what that person experiences is suffocation. That was exactly the same feeling I had in that Sangeet that day. Suffocated. The best of food, the best of sound, the best of music, the best of apparel, lovely people, great hospitality, your own family. You're most welcomed. Some were surprised I was there. I didn't tell them I was a mere transporter. I said, no, I'm very happy to be here. I was having a as a largest smile on my face and said, I'm happy to be here. But inwardly, I know, suffocating there. When can I get out of that place? Yes, Sushma Ma.
Guruji, I can give an example,
Yes, please.
not of any great person, but a personal experience I had many years ago. I just started feeling after my children were all settled and made duties, home duties were done. I used to feel, what is this life? I just eat, drink, and sleep and make merry. And I was feeling suffocated. What sort of a life am I leading? And that's how I went and joined my spiritual, the organization I belong to, Atna Trust. And I started attending their satsangs regularly.
I am very, very angry with you, Sushma Ma.
Why, Guruji?
Because you belong to Wisdom Foundation also.
I belong to Wisdom Foundation only since last couple of years. But 30
Oh, it
years
is,
ago,
no,
it
looks like I know you. It looks like I know you for all my life. So it's not 2 years. So don't put a time frame to it, please. It hurts me. No, I'm just kidding.
Telling you, when you're asking about suffocation, I'm telling you that is the feeling I had, that what sort of a useless life am I leading? And I started attending satsangs and reading the Gita regularly. And then Param Puja Ma, my guru, she said, you must read your scripture every morning, but that is not real puja. What you do, what you read, how much of that are you practicing in your life? That is going to be your real puja. And that is how I started doing this, I went to the slum and we started opening with a friend of mine. We opened the school and we used to study in the morning 2 hours scriptures together. And during the day, we used to go and work in the school to help these poor children. And that gave me a lot of satisfaction. And I can't call it real mumukshatva, but I can call it that when you said the feeling of suffocation, I have gone through that.
Only when you experience it, you know what the text is talking. So the fact that you have experienced it, you know exactly what it is, isn't it?
And that's why Wisdom Satsang also, my niece Tinky introduced me to it. I didn't know about Wisdom Satsang before that. And this about 2.5 years ago. And that is how I started attending all your, all the lessons you give.
And from then on, the satsangs have been enriched.
Pardon?
From then on, the entire satsang experience has become more richer.
Yeah, because you see now,
because you have come.
I was belonging to, they are in Haryana. I used to travel there after 2-3 weeks, to spend 2-3 days there. At my age now, I cannot travel. I have back problem and all. So I can't, I'm still in contact. I still do my social work, but I can't go there and attend. And so I find it much easier, and I enjoy listening to your satsangs and trying to put that into my practice in my life.
Joy is ours, Sushma Ma. You know, the joy is ours that you are with us. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
It's my good fortune. Guruji, it's my good fortune.
Pleasure. Indeed a pleasure, Ma. Indeed a pleasure. So as I've said, it's something which you have to experience it, experience the suffocation. So it's a very good thing to experience, please. So your spiritual calling is measured by suffocation. You can put it in bold. Your spiritual, what's the word I used? Rajima?
You use the word calling, Guruji?
The spiritual calling is measured by the degree of suffocation. You may have a sense of suffocation, but suffocation is not a sense of being tired. It's not that you're fed up. Again, after a while, you'll go back. You feel fed up. Mango season has come now. Everything is mango. There's a salad. In the salad, there's a mango cutting. In the fruit is mango. Dessert is mango. Mango experience is suffocated. How much mango to eat? After 1 week, you don't eat again. You go back to mango. I'm not talking of that kind of getting fed up. Suffocation in the when everything is going well in your way, and you see the futility in it, absolute futility in it. It has no charm when it is very charming. It has no joy when it's the most joyful thing you can do. And all of this is explained by the term atha. Athashvalayano bhagavantam parameshthinamupasametya uvacha. So the text starts with atha. Atha means then. Having approached such a brilliant student who had the qualities of viveka, vairagya, shed sampatti, and mumukshatva. He had all these qualities. Such a student approached Lord Brahma. The Lord Brahma is the guru of the text. So he approached the venerable Lord, and Lord Brahma is said to have 4 heads. The 4 heads symbolizes the 4 Vedas. Here is a man who has digested the entire Vedanta. He is the reservoir of wisdom. So no better guru than Lord Brahma, who had all the 4 Vedas, the wisdom of all Vedas, the Upanishadic truth were in him. He had all that wisdom. And who is the consort of Lord Brahma? Hariji? I'm little gray area for me. Please clarify.
Saraswati.
Saraswati, neighbor Saraswati, yeah. Huh?
Goddess Saraswati.
Goddess Solungo.
Goddess
Saraswati.
Saraswati.
Goddess Saraswati.
Who has Veena in 2 hands, who has got the Vedas in another hand, who has the Mala in the other. It's a combination of head and heart.
So Lord Brahma was married to goddess of knowledge. Saraswati. So Lord Brahma accompanied with goddess Saraswati. So that's the kind of a tutor, a person he sought. Head and heart were so the best of head, the profoundness of the head, and the purity of the heart. So he sought a perfect teacher. Teach me the supreme knowledge of Brahman, sought always by the wise, a profound secret. The wise people only seek it. So if you are not seeking it, you may say, I am seeking it now. Not now. Constantly, he says. Arunama, what's the difference between seeking and sada? Always seeking.
Hari Om Guruji.
Yes, ma. What's the difference?
My understanding, the thought that comes to my mind is always seeking is when your thoughts are always on the higher. If not, you can be seeking, like Guruji was just referring to, you are seeking as a pastime when you have the free time, or, it is not, you're not completely focused on it. The Nitya, Anitya Viveka Vichara is not always there. It's not eternal seeking. That mumukshitva is not there.
Correct. You only go to a place of worship only when you're in distress. You need spiritual counseling. You don't seek in moments of distress or trouble, isn't it?
Yes, Guruji.
So constant seeking is measured with the quality of mumukshatva and the rest, correct?
Yeah.
So that's how we know how wise we are. So in and through the so-called duties and responsibilities, you have to perform your duties towards your family, your society, etc. But you're also able to uphold your primary duty of seeking the self, seeking the truth. So your other secondary duties should not interfere with your primary duty. How do you do that? You got to figure it out. Many a time your secondary duties would interfere with your primary duty of life, which is to seek the truth, to evolve. Oh, sorry, sir, this was actually not in my list of duties only. In the UK. But today I must say you've been glowing all the while from the very morning, I must say that. 1 hour and still you're glowing. What is the secret, ma? Rajima, isn't she glowing?
Reflection of the glowing sun, Guruji, that's all.
No, but then it'll only be one side, but the whole is glowing everywhere.
It is glowing on my face, that's why. That is the reason.
No, you're looking bright and lovely, ma.
Thank you.
So what was the question? See, I get distracted with charming people, so I forgot what I was asking.
No,
what did I ask, ma?
Your secondary duty should not interfere with your primary duty.
Your secondary duty should not dislodge your primary duty. So how should you ensure that your primary duty doesn't get dislodged with your secondary duties? Secondary duties are like duty towards your family, towards your relatives, your friends, and social duties and so-called responsibilities.
Yes.
You may be a member of this club, you may be a member of that samstha, you may be a member of this activity. These are all social obligations you have created along the course of your life.
Yes.
Now having alighted to the thought of the self and being reminded that that is the primary duty, how to ensure you uphold the primary duty?
A constant thinking of that, Guruji, and constant attention, or you have to keep that in the mind all the time.
The question is how to keep that. How do you ensure the secondary doesn't dislodge the primary?
Because you perform the secondary duties with a feeling of vairagya or detachment. You do your duties, but then your primary attention or concentration should be on your primary duty.
But is it not possible that you justify it?
It is not possible, Guruji, unless at least at this stage where you are trying to just get introduced to this primary duty, the importance of the primary duty, the significance of it. It is difficult to come out of your the priority you have been giving to the secondary duties. But then over a period of time and with your continuous effort, I think it should be.
Along with all what you said, I would also suggest at times just drop the secondary duty and pick up the primary duty. Just drop it. Nothing will happen. you fail to realize, I fail to realize that the obligatory duty I'm calling is actually becoming a burden on my head. Imagine I give you a 5 kg weight, I put it on your head. I wouldn't do that, don't worry. But imagine I put a 5 kg weight on your head. You have the strength to bear it. How long?
Yeah.
A minute or two, but after that, then it starts hurting your neck, your shoulders,
back,
and your
yeah.
spine. It starts hurting. Then I say, drop it. What will you do?
Relieved.
You take the weight off the head, you put in your shoulder, right shoulder. What happened? The head weight has gone, the pain has come
Shoulder.
onto the shoulder. I say, drop it. You'll take it off your shoulder, you will hold it at your waist. The burden has gone off the head of the shoulder, now it's come onto the waist.
Yes, Guruji.
I say, drop it. Only when you completely get rid of it, drop it on the floor, that is when you're off your burden, isn't it?
Yes, Guruji.
Now the question is, the secondary duties, are they on your head? Are they at the shoulder? Are they at your waist? Are you holding in your hands? It's still a burden. Unless and until you clean drop them,
But yes,
they will not be a burden.
yes, Guruji.
So you must learn to just drop it. The so-called duties and responsibilities are becoming a burden today.
Yes, Guruji.
Isn't it?
Yes.
In this 1 hour I have spoken, nobody said so many times, yes, as much as you said in 1 minute. Oh my God.
Because
so much agreeing to everything I said.
No,
Nobody
that is
agrees
what-
to me except
but
you.
I also said but, Guruji. At the end, I mentioned but because all the
No, Guruji,
efforts are.
something like, don't tell me no, Guruji, now.
It's not that you have been carried. I mean, you have been experiencing that weight for so long that it takes a lot of effort and time also to drop it. Because you have been believing that that is your life.
Correct. Very true. In fact, since you talk, thank you, Shama. So since you talk so much of the effort, how do you describe the effort with reference to Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas? The 3 perspectives you can take. Now, when you put in a lot of effort, a lot of personal effort, but then you surrender to the higher, an ideal state where you put in enormous effort, the effort is personal and surrender is impersonal. It is Sattva. I repeat, you put in a lot of effort, but then you surrender to the higher, to the impersonal. It is Sattva. Second is when you put in the effort and then you do not surrender, it is Rajas. You say, I have done it. It is my karma, my effort, my fruits. I am the doer. You put in effort, but then you don't surrender yourself. It is Rajas. The third is you don't put any effort and you say, God will take care. What is that, Shivaji? The third category. I can read the answer by reading your lips.
Tamasic.
Disappeared.
Absolute tamasic.
Absolute tamasic. Which is, you don't put any effort. And you say, God will take care.
Our path.
I don't have to do anything. He will take care. That kind of an attitude is tamas. Now you find where you are. Either you are in a state of sattva, where you put in all the effort and you say, you surrender. Or Rajas, we put an effort and claim the fruits and say, I am the one who's doing it, Rajas. Or you say, he will take care and I do nothing at all, is tamas. Pinky is asking, bombarding me with few questions. Before I take her, I will get Lakshmi Ma to say, clarify. Yes, Ma.
Guruji, this is in context to the earlier thing you said, the primary duties and secondary duties. Don't we say that it's not renunciation of action, but renunciation in action? So you do your duties, you do perform whatever you have to do, but while there you have the vairagya to renounce, right? What is real and what is not real, but you don't like I read in the comment just now, someone asked that Arjuna was asked to do his duty, when he was lost.
But before he performed his duty, he was taught 18 chapters of Gita.
Yeah, with that understanding.
Correct. So when you have the wisdom, then it is renunciation in action. When you have the strength of wisdom, then you can perform action and yet be renounced. Until you gain that wisdom, you must renounce certain activities. You must say no to certain activities so that you imbibe wisdom. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. In order to imbibe wisdom, you must say no to certain activities. You can't be leading a high-ended social life, busy with entertaining people, getting entertained by people, parties and functions, and getting involved in all the social life, and yet you want to imbibe your wisdom. How is it possible? I would say, Ma, you must show a certain amount, not that you have an interest or you're doing that, don't get me wrong. I would say you would have to show a certain amount of restraint, a certain amount of disinterest, and say, I will say no to it because I want to use that time. That is known as, what is that quality you're practicing there? That is tapas. Tapas is conserving your energy, which you are dissipating it into unproductive channels. You're doing something which is dissipating your energy. Do you realize that? So much of your time and energy is being wasted into something. You don't see it as wasting. The moment you see there's so much energy is getting wasted, you redirect it towards something higher. So for that, what you must practice is, you must renounce that activity, which is your secondary duty. You must renounce that secondary duty, which example is social life, so that you invest in your primary duty. Then you are practicing renunciation in action. But start practicing renunciation of action first. And then you come to a state where renunciation in action. Create an opportunity, a climate where you can seek the knowledge. When you're in a party, if I come and teach you, what would you say? Guruji, this is not the right time, Guruji. I know you are my guru. I expect you to have little common sense. This is not the time to have a Bhadram Karne Bishnuyama Deva. We will talk. Saturday morning, I'm coming for the class. We'll talk there. You will politely say, you're not available for the higher when you are available for the world. I say renounce the world so that you can be available for the higher. That is called tapas. Tapas is conserving. Kashish, I'm repeating the definition for your sake. I know you are struggling to capture that. Isn't it?
Thank you, Guruji. Yes.
Tapas has two elements, Kashish. One is conservation of energy, which is being dissipated into unproductive channels. So tapas has two elements. One is conserving the energy, which is being dissipated into unproductive channels. The second element is redirecting that energy into the pursuit of the higher.
Thank you, Guruji.
The two elements. So tapas, the first element is practiced by renouncing the secondary duties and redirecting it towards your primary duty, which is the seeking the truth. And you do this while you're doing it, you must remember you're not frustrating yourself beyond a point. There will be discomfort because you're letting go of something which you like to do, but not to the extent where it breaks you down. You do it with little discomfort. All right, it's okay. There's no pain, there's no gain, there's no sacrifice, there's no growth, isn't it?
Yes, Guruji.
Got it?
Got it.
Great. Okay. Yes. All right. So Tinkima, does not karma purify the mind to prepare for Jnanam? Where did this question pop out from?
Hello, can you hear me, Guruji?
Yes, I can hear you, Ma.
So this is because, Guruji, you said that you forget about primary duties. Now, primary duties vary at every stage, and socializing is not a duty, that is a choice. But as a young mother, my duties when I'm little older, even now when I'm a grandmother and I was looking after my 95-year-old mother-in-law, those were primary duties that I had to do. But as you had said, that do the obligatory duties with that, service in the spirit of service and sacrifice, without any doership, without fruits, anything. Do that because that purifies the mind. So you also said that Prince Siddharth left at the age of 29, his palace, his wife and his son, to seek the higher. But you said don't follow the lifestyle of the Guru, only follow the teachings. So that maybe that mumukshatva in him was that strong because he saw those force, the illness and the dead body and whatever it was. We have seen all that and yet we haven't reached that level. So I mean to say that you stop all your responsibilities and only get into the pursuit of the higher is what I have understood. Maybe I've misunderstood.
Yeah, in fact, I did not say that. In fact, when I just clarified to Kashish as well, I said you must keep in mind when you drop, even when I said Lakshmi Ma, I was telling her, I said you must drop the secondary duties. You will feel a sense of discomfort, a sense of frustration, but not drop it to a point where it frustrates you and breaks you down. Then you've gone beyond your limit. But unless and until you learn to physically create that time first for yourself. Can I say no to a certain activity and say, let me be with myself? Ma, the only choice you have is either you go outward into the world or you go inward into yourself. The more you're outward into the world, you have less chance of going inward into the self.
Yes.
So you have to practice tapas, not to get carried away. We are not yet reached a state where you perform your karma and yet remain detached and anchored within. We don't have that. So to that extent, I'm not telling you here to abandon your dharmas or duties. I'm telling where you can let go so that you can get into the primary, and primary doesn't change at different stages of your life. The primary purpose for which you're born is to realize yourself. That is your primary purpose. That's what we are calling as primary dharma.
Primary does not change, but first is, of course, the yearning. Second is physically, when you look after children, that it is so time consuming that even if you want, I mean, like suppose today I take at my stage, I may wake up early, study for 2 hours. During the day, I study for another 2 hours. And beyond that, my intellect will not allow me because I'll be completely confused and, overburdened with that kind of higher knowledge. It also brings me to the question of vasanas. We have to exhaust our vasanas. If I have a vasana for meeting and something, till I don't do it, either with knowledge, I say no use, it's useless, it's futile, it's ephemeral, it is of no value. But if I don't realize that, then perhaps if once in a way I do meet up with friends, then there will come a point, like earlier we would meet maybe twice a month. Now we didn't even meet once in 2 years. It never affected us. We just outgrew it. So if we don't get into that action, how will we exhaust the vasanas? Because you say Sanchita vasanas can go through action or knowledge. Now my knowledge is not exhausting, then what shall I do?
Experience it.
That's what I want.
But don't use that as an excuse to experience. Chalo, yaar, license mil gaya. Chalo, let us experience everything.
No, we're not
Like that.
licensed.
So therefore, when you say knowledge, what purifies your vasanas is action. And action, here we're talking about seva. When you get into the spirit of service and sacrifice, karma yoga takes care of the bulk of your vasanas. Remember that. So when you do selfless service, unselfish work, your vasanas get burnt out. So the route you got to take is knowledge and reflection and selfless work. So action is this route that burns vasanas, not getting into the experience and enjoying it. That is the last option given. The last option given. No?
Because that also earlier you said you must complete the experience. That means I have to go. It was an obligation to attend a wedding. Attend it, enjoy it, don't linger, don't indulge, and move on. So what is wrong in that? Because again, that's a secondary duty, but I need to do it.
If I can avoid it, I'll avoid it.
So that means the value
I can do it.
Relationship, is it?
Which is not relationship.
See, if it's your nephew or your own child, there is a greater value than if you have to go to your neighbors.
You will not agree with me to this, I know. When Vaishnavi was born, I did not come for 3 months. I did not say I was in Malaysia. I did not see her for the first 3 months. When my daughter was born, I didn't come and see her. I found, now again, you took example of Siddhartha walking away. You couldn't relate to it. You may not be able to relate or understand. Perhaps you will misunderstand. As a father, I was not there for my daughter's birth. I did not see her for 3 months. I only saw her when I received her at the airport after 3 months. Just as 2 years you didn't attend social life, didn't matter to you. Not seeing my daughter the first 3 months did not matter to me. It was 3 months after that my wife chose to come back. Vijaya chose to come back. She was most welcome. But I did not. It was dissipation of energy for me. 17 years ago when she was born, I found a dissipation of energy for me. Now, don't try and understand something which is not at your level. You will misunderstand it. Now, I have given up everything in my life to seek this path. So the birth of my daughter didn't excite me. Not that I was not happy. I'm extremely happy. But it didn't excite me. I found a dissipation of energy for me to give up all the activities and come all the way. It was not accepted by my own family. So be it. Should I kill my own mumukshatva? Should I kill my own conscience, or should I just appease the world? No, don't try to practice this quality beyond your level. That is why I told Kashish. But try to practice it where you can. You can't say I'm stuck with my grandchild whole day because my children and my daughter-in-law are working and they are pursuing their professional careers, and I become a caretaker of the child. Appoint a caretaker and you be liberated and pursue your goals. Don't make attending your grandchild as your primary responsibility of life. No, I wouldn't do that. Whether you do it or not is your choice. I'm only giving, I'm not really asking a solution. I'm saying there's so many things that you can do. There's so many things that you can do. There's so many things that you can drop to pursue the higher. Are you in a state of mind to drop and seek the truth? Or are you postponing the pursuit of the self to a later date? Because I have this obligation to do. Don't justify. That's all I'm saying.
Guruji, my question is it an either or? Can both not be done? I cannot study for 24 hours.
I'm not
I
telling
can
you to sit and study. I'm telling you to engage in activities. I'm telling you to engage in activities which can help you spiritually grow.
Yes, that we do. There's study, there's morning study, there's karma yoga, there's service, there is dhanam, everything is being done. But there is
If
also
you are
this.
doing it, doesn't need clarification. What are you clarifying?
No, because you said drop secondary activities, which is what disturbed me. That's why I was asking. That's all.
Yeah. See, the secondary activity will remain secondary if the accent is on the primary.
Yes.
So make sure your accent is on the primary. The secondary, let it remain secondary. Let it not consume your life or prioritize or dislodge the primary obligation. As long as that is ensured, how does it matter what you do? It doesn't matter. And it's subjective. It's not me sitting in judgment or you sitting in judgment of anybody. It's for you to find out what is your primary. We are only trying to tell the spirit. Now, to what extent you can intensify that quality? Can you step up the effort? Don't you realize there's a possibility you can step up your efforts? Yes, I can. I certainly think. You're not reached a perfect state. You're not a self-realized person yet. So therefore, there's so much you can do. Therefore, be open to let go of something which you are attached to. A guru can see something where you don't see it. So you can drop. You may have to drop something which you're attached to. Don't justify, don't resist. Drop it. I'm enthused to read the story out what she has sent. Please bear with me. It's a very interesting story. Tinkima, I'm reading out something which you sent me the other day. Okay?
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah, I found great joy reading that. Just a minute or so. A person started to walk on a rope tied between two tall towers. He was walking slowly, balancing a long stick in his hands. He had his son sitting on his shoulders. Everyone on the ground were watching him in bated breath and very tense. When he slowly reached the second tower, everyone clapped, whistled, and welcomed him. They shook hands and took selfies. He asked the crowd, "Do you all think I can walk back on the same rope now from this side to that side?" Crowd shouted in one voice, "Yes, yes, you can." "Do you trust me?" he asked. They said, "Yes, yes, we are ready to bet on you." He said, "Okay, can any one of you give your child to sit on my shoulder? I will take the child to the other side safely." There was stunned silence. Everyone became quiet. Belief is different. Trust is different. For trust, you need to surrender totally. This is what we lack towards God in today's world. We believe in the Almighty, but do we trust Him? I'm very happy to say I have surrendered my life to this cause. What comes primary is this purpose. Everything else is secondary as far as I'm concerned. I'm not doubting your faith or belief, without which you wouldn't be here day in and day out. But have you surrendered your life to that cause? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Aham tva sarva papebhya mokshayishyami ma shutah. You renounce all your dharmas, all your duties for Mamekam, for my purpose alone. The famous words of the Gita says this: renounce all your dharmas for one dharma, for my sake. I will give you moksha. Don't tell me I have got many so-called many duties. I'm sorry, I'm little occupied. God will say, carry on. The one who has the capacity to drop everything for this sake, I will give you, I guarantee you give moksha. How ready you are, you find out. How knotted you are, you figure out. How liberated you are, you figure out. What can you drop? You figure it out. But you must feel a sense of suffocation when you're in them, because this desire of the self is not fed. If you're not suffocated, check after 6 months. Now everything is fine. 6 months later, maybe things which you're doing now may not comfort you anymore. Okay, but it's not to sit in judgment here, it's to measure your own growth. Okay. Yes, Hariji.
I hope my question may not disturb the class. When you are telling that you didn't go to see your newborn baby for 3 months because you didn't want her to bring down your degree of mumukshutva.
Not at all. Don't misread, don't misquote it.
No,
I did not say that visiting her would in any way tarnish or bring down my level of mumukshutva. Nothing can, nothing will.
Yeah.
It was a choice made just to see how your mind behaves. Exactly, which is what I was advising all the while. Keep away from a certain activity and see how your mind behaves. Whether is there a level of attachment?
No, my question is that if your daughter today is not in any way going to influence your way of thinking or leading you towards your ultimate aim, the ultimate truth. In that case, even that newborn baby would not have influenced you in any way. So what is the difference that you find in today's condition vis-a-vis the newborn baby? I'm not challenging. I'm trying to analyze within myself.
Sir, there's so many activities I do which conserve my energy. I said that was an activity which I did to conserve my energy. That's all I'm saying. Not that that action is right or wrong. I chose to come all the way from a foreign land to spend 2-3 weeks away from what I was doing. I found a dissipation of energy. I can do without it. May not have been accepted well or may not have gone well with the family, but that I said, let that be. And I just wanted to stand my ground. You think Siddhartha would have been accepted by his family, his wife, what he did? I didn't do because Siddhartha did so, please. I'm just trying a thing. I just did something. An action, you need to understand the spirit behind, not the action. Don't decode the action. Action has no meaning. Action is always neutral. Action is always neutral. It's how you understand it, how you interpret it. So the whole example, I'm very, very particular. I don't take such examples because then it becomes very difficult to understand. I keep as a principle. I don't do that because you will find difficulty to understand that. You understood everything I said the whole 1.5 hours, but that part you'll not understand. That's why I said, don't go by lifestyle of personalities. Don't go by the lifestyles. You will not do good. Go by the teaching. So if you want to be with the satsang, follow what I say. Don't do what I do. Never do what I do. Not because I'm a master. I'm not taking a stance of a master or a guru and saying this. I can't do what you do, sir. I can take your advice and follow, do good to myself. But if Hari is a great personality, I can't do what you do. That will not do any good to me. So, and also let's not understand the philosophy through lifestyle. Understand the philosophy from the teachings, not from the lifestyle. So please, let's separate it. I know you understand the concept. The concept is dissipation of energy. Dissipation of energy, tapas. It's just tapas. It is dissipation of energy. That's all it is, not that. it would have dampened my mumukshatva then or now. And obviously the mumukshatva is far more intensified from what it was then. That I assure.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you. We'll come back. Come back. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.